Hello, I'm Steph from iDriver Classic, and today we're back at ADO Restoration. Now, if you remember last year, the tail end, I went out and bought a car blind. I bought a standard 10 for £850. Now, a normal group of friends or colleagues might say that's a really daft idea and not try and replicate it. However, as you can see from the title of this video, Ed decided to go one better than buying a car blind from Birmingham, and he bought a car blind from Sweden. This is Ed, my colleague at ADO Restoration, and also, thankfully, when buying an ADO16, he is also a very keen expert in bodywork and mechanics. Now, Ed, tell us how you ended up being a man in England buying a car blind from Sweden.
Well, quite simply, I wanted another ADO16. Having had two estates in the past, and never having them on the road, I decided that an estate is what I had to have. It was either an estate or an MG. That was what I was looking for. And basically, I put out a wanted on the 1100 Club Facebook page, and somebody contacted me and said, "Yeah, I know where there is one. I'll pass on your details." And I said, "Great." And then when I finally spoke to the seller, he was in Hamaro, I don't know how to pronounce it, in Sweden. So the plan was hatched, and as you can see, the car was bought.
Now, I know it's very common to talk about money, but I know that that's going to be the question that everybody has. So, Ed, talk us through the costs, from how much you've paid for the car, and also let's talk about the hidden costs. So how much does it cost to get you here?
So the car I thought was really reasonably priced, which is one of the main reasons I thought, yeah, let's go for this. So I ended up paying, after the exchange rate, it was £2,200. The car has got 64,000 kilometres on the clock, which is about just over 40,000 miles from new. And I thought, well, a car of that mileage in this condition and this rarity, I thought it's definitely got to be worth that. Which is why I ended up paying the full price. I didn't haggle on the asking price for the car. I considered going to get the car myself, but the time off, the time off work, the cost of the ferry, fuel, etc., it was just not a viable option. I was put in contact by somebody who was going to transport the car for me. So his costs were 1,900 quid to bring the car to my door. So I didn't have to pick it up from a port. I didn't have to meet him somewhere. It was door to door. That was 1,900 quid. Hidden costs. There was a fee for the Swedish customs, and obviously the car, it's like 1 in every 500 they want to inspect. This one, they wanted to inspect. So there was about £150 for a customs inspection fee, plus the transport costs to transport it to the customs depot. And then now, because we are no longer part of Europe, there's VAT to pay on any vehicle, any historic vehicle that you bring in. It is a reduced amount, but I ended up paying the VAT for this one. I think that was around the £500 mark, simply because it's not just the cost of the car, it's the cost of the transportation as well, because they see that as, well, that's how much the car has cost you. It's just another way for them to earn more money, I feel. Don't get me started. But yeah, so that was unexpected, because of the cost of the transport obviously was almost as much as the car, so the actual VAT amount was heavier than I was expecting. But it's not 20%, I think it's something like 8% or 5%, a reduced amount.
Now, there's an awful lot of variables at play here. You've got language barriers, you've got the distance that you never saw it. There are so many variables when you buy an old car, even at the best of times. How did you decide that this was the car that you were going to buy blind?
I think because it was somebody in the owners club that put me onto it, that sort of eases your mind slightly, because you think, well, they're an enthusiast as well. The language barrier wasn't so bad. Luckily, the seller just spoke English to me. I did try a bit of Google Translate, but he always just wrote back in English, so I just sort of carried on. We spoke on the phone. Obviously now we did a WhatsApp video call, and he showed me around the car. He sent me lots of pictures. So it settled me that, you know, it was not just like a scam or anything. You know, I actually physically spoke to him and saw him on the video chat, and he had quite a nice collection. It was his late father's collection, so he had quite a nice collection of cars anyway. You could tell he was an enthusiast. And again, I think it just the rarity of it, and it was what I wanted. So I just thought, you only live once, eh?
You only live once and money is there to be spent. Now, what is the story behind this car, Ed? Because it's all very well and good uncovering something like this in England. However, Sweden, it still looks like this. Essentially, it's in barn fine condition. How much do we know about the history of this vehicle?
Well, they were all built to be so they weren't built in Sweden. They were all built as export vehicles. So I have put in for a heritage certificate for it, and they've said that they'll be able to provide one for it, which is great. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to see the dealership it's been sent to and whatever. The story I got from the seller was his father bought it in the early 90s. And as I mentioned earlier, he's got a collection of various vehicles. So it was just one of his classics that he had and kept. He did say, which I thought was a nice part of the story, he said him and his sister used to call it the ice cream car, because of all the classic cars, it was the only classic car that their dad ever let them eat ice cream in. So whenever they went out in it, they always got an ice cream, which I thought was a really nice sort of little bit of history to go with it. As I said, 64,000 kilometres. I've no reason to disapprove this. The car is, the body is excellent. The interior is perfect. You just wouldn't get a UK car, even at, with that mileage looking like this. It would just be rotten to the core. They don't salt the roads, and obviously there's snow and it's cold, but they don't salt there. So I think that's definitely helped it keep it how it is.
Now that's the car's story so far. What are you going to do next with this?
So originally I was just going to recommission it and get it back on the road. I've decided I'm going to do a right and drive conversion. So I've bought myself a dashboard and a pedal box and a miles per hour speedometer. Some people might not like this, but I want to be able to use it. I've got a Fiat that's left-hand drive, but that's different. That was built as a left-hand drive car, and it is what it is. It's this to me is a British car, and it's all the holes are there, which makes the conversion very easy to move everything across. I'll need a steering rack. Is the last piece of the puzzle, maybe a few other bits and pieces, but to me it just makes sense. I do want to use it almost daily, if not daily. Another thing I want to do is I'm going to drop both subframes front and back off, just wax oil it, clean it, paint it, go through all the bushes. The brakes are binding slightly, so I'll go through those and just make it, I'm not going to paint it, I'm not going to over-restore it. I just want it to be a really nice, usable thing, and paint it and wax oil it to preserve it.
Now, for anybody watching at home who is watching this and thinking, wow, I'm going to get myself on foreign eBay or Le Bon Coin, whatever it is over there in France and stuff like that, and they're thinking, I'm going to buy something really cool and bring it in. How do you go about registering a vehicle in this country that is from overseas?
So that has got very complicated again now because of Brexit. When I brought my Fiat from Italy, it was dead easy. You went online onto the HMRC website, the .gov website, filled in an online form, done, MOT'd the car, sent off for a logbook. Easy peasy. This is a little bit more complicated now. I personally can't fill in that form. You have to be a registered trader to go online to do it. It's probably to do with the VAT and the duty and everything that needs paying. They want to keep track of it all. So another cost which I may have to incur, I don't know. I've paid my VAT, but the duty is free because of its age, but I'll probably have to pay an agent to do that form for me to get a NOVA, which is notification of vehicle arrival. And they give you a number, which is then passed on to the DVLA. I'll need to get the heritage certificate, which I mentioned earlier, to prove what it is, because in Sweden they don't give you a logbook, that has to be handed in, so I don't have a physical logbook for this car. I've got a photocopy of it, which the DVLA won't accept. So I'll need the heritage certificate to prove what it is. I'll need the NOVA, and then I'll need to MOT it first. And then once I've got all those three things, I can then apply for a logbook, which I think, well, it was when I did the Fiat about 30 quid, but I imagine that's probably more money now.
So there's a lot involved there, and I think the final question, of course, is it's not just important what you think of your vehicle, it's also everybody else around you. So you've had your wife down, you've had your daughter, your dad works here, so I mean he's had a good eyeball at it, and your mum, and you've had all your best mates tripping down over the past kind of week or so. What has everybody's first impression been of the car?
I think as mine, which when I first saw it, is just how clean and tidy. Like, I know it's dirty because it's travelled all, that's dirt Sweden, all the way through Denmark and Germany and all the way here. But in terms of once it's washed and how solid and clean it'll be, how good the interior is. And again, it's just an estate, you know, ADO16s aren't, they were Britain's best-selling car, but you very rarely see them. And then to see an estate variant, you know, when did you last see one? The last one I saw was the one that I sold, and it was in bits because I never put it back together. And that was probably about 3 years ago. So, yeah, I think everybody just, it's charming, isn't it? It's different, it's quirky, and it's just such a nice example.
Now, I know that a lot of you are going to be chomping at the bit to see how this progresses, which is why I'm very excited to tell you that just like Speedy, we are going to be putting this car on the channel, showing you all the stuff as Ed does it. And I think the next video that we do with this, we'll probably be putting it on the ramp and doing a full inspection, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll have a good look round. Like I say, I've got a few bits collected already. We can see what else we're going to need. Have a look at maybe take the dashboard out and things like that, just to see what's involved. It's all probably going to be, I say probably, it will be very simple. I've got a workshop manual anyway, but I've had many of these anyway. I think it's all going to be in here. As soon as I start, it'll all come flooding back to me. But yeah, we'll get it on the ramp. We'll see what's involved and what it's really, really like.
Wonderful. And finally, I think the question that everybody's going to ask is, have you named her yet?
Named by yours truly as Sweedy, to go with Speedy.
I think that was a team effort after another ridiculous day in the workshop. Now, this is great because every car deserves a second chance, and it's so wonderful to see a car come out of a collection where it's been a little bit forgotten, it's been pushed to the back, and suddenly it's getting a new lease of life. If you have any questions about this car, about ADO16s, about what we do at ADO Restoration, or perhaps even what Ed's gone through to get the car from Sweden to here, please do pop it in the comments section below. That's the end of today's video. Thank you so much. Let us know what you think. We've given you a little bit of a tour around, but until next time, when we start getting up close and personal, and also when we show you some of the interesting features that you might only ever see on a Swedish ADO16, take care and drive safely.